Welcome to the Alternative Dog Moms Podcast. I'm Kimberly Gauthier, creator of Keep the Tail Wagging. I've been blogging about raw feeding, pet wellness, and life as a crazy dog mom for more than 10 years. I've seen massive improvements in my dog's health since I began raising my dogs naturally, and I'm passionate about sharing my experience to help other pet parents.
I'm Erin Scott from the Believe in Dog podcast. For more than 10 years, I've been researching and learning everything I can about healing cancer, allergies, autoimmune, and mystery illnesses in both my dogs and myself. And I can't wait to share with you everything I've learned in case it could help you too. As the Alternative Dog Moms, Kimberly and I are bringing you all the latest dog health news that we're following and the brilliant people we're meeting along the way. Now let's get started. Hello, Kimberly.
Hello, Erin.
So happy belated Dog Moms Day.
Oh, back at you. Did you do anything?
Well, the dogs got me very lovely cards and treats that they weren't able to eat, which they were very upset about. So I don't know why they bought them.
Nothing happened in my world. I know it was Saturday, but I honestly don't know. I think I mow the lawn. I think I mowed the lawn and I walked the dogs. I think it was just like any other day. And my mom texted me and said, "Happy Mother's Day," and then followed up with a request of what she wants her gift to be. And it was very detailed. And so I was just like, "I'll just send you a gift card. I don't do this." I don't know this world where we have to tell each other exactly what we want. And it's like, if it has to be that detailed, you just ask for a gift card and do it yourself. I'm not doing this. So,
Well, it's a very celebratory week over here because yesterday was 25 years since I met my husband, and tomorrow is our 20th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Which is really crazy because I'm only 27.
Oh, speaking of which, I got carded.
Nice.
I did. I went to the movies. That's what I did on Saturday. My girlfriend and I went to the movies. We went and saw Sinners. Excellent movie. I mean, it blew me away. It was so good. I mean, it was just, I love vampire movies. It was so good. And Michael B. Jordan is so fantastic. But we went and saw that, and then we went and grabbed lunch afterwards, and the guy carded me with my absolutely atrocious looking ID, where I feel like I have a lawsuit against the state of Washington. ID is so horrible. I feel attacked and bullied and shamed. Especially after waiting 2.5 hours to do it. It's just, and I'm not going back. I'm not going to go and get a new ID. That's just ridiculous. But it is just truly the most horrific looking ID picture that I've ever had in my entire life.
My most recent ID picture I think it's from 2020 because I was supposed to get mine renewed right before everything shut down for COVID. And then it actually expired, and I got it months later, because they had all these emergency things that it was okay that it expired. And it was still in that kind of post-chemo weird hair growth stage. And so every time I look at the picture, I'm like, oh God, I kind of look like I have a mullet.
Mine is just, my hair is doing odd things. It was it was ultimately, I will take some responsibility for it because I woke up and was just like, oh crap, my ID expires next week. I need to go and get it done. And then I didn't prepare for taking a picture. I just showed up. So I wasn't, I didn't have a makeup on, and, it's just a bad picture. But I also think that it could have been a better picture. I feel like even though I wasn't in front of the camera, I feel like the camera was right in front of my face. And it was just because my face it's just horrible. So, and it's kind of blurry. It's just a bad picture. But I figure, you know what? If it works for checking ID, or if I get pulled over or flying someplace, and so be it. That's fine by me. But otherwise, yeah, it was pretty uneventful weekend.
So how are the dogs? By the way, have we officially announced the adoption on the
I don't know
podcast?
if we officially announced the adoption, but yes, I did foster fail again. Even though I swore up and down I would.
Nobody saw this coming.
I know exactly. I swore nobody else was surprised. We've just decided, I guess, in our house that we're just not even going to discuss the fact that she's still here. We're just going to accept it. But she is, yeah, she's doing really well. She's doing well with the other dogs. She does have some little bad habits. She's very mouthy, so we're working on that. She loves my shoes, so we're working on that. And when it's mealtime, she gets super excited, and I feel like she's running around to each of the dogs to tell them that it's mealtime, and they're just sort of like, "We know, and we need you to settle down." And so, getting her to calm down, um, to stop jumping on everybody and stuff, and I'm kind of letting the other dogs set their boundaries with her, which has worked very well. But yeah, she's picked up some habits. So yesterday, there was a rabbit in the yard, and so all the dogs were at the window. I actually took a picture of them. Yeah, and I think it was all four of them were on the love seat, looking out the window, and they're barking and growling and doing all the whimpering noises because there's a rabbit. And so she's picked up on that. When I walked her and Apollo, because she goes on walks with Apollo, so she follows his lead. Like if they see another dog, then it's just sort of like they're going to stare intently and then do some barking, a couple barks at the dog, and then we can keep going. But she's doing pretty good.
I'm convinced that Nessie sees the world through like Terminator vision or like RoboCop vision, where it's like target acquired. She's just like constantly scanning and then like locks in. And we had a rabbit that just like was, I don't know, like the next driveway in front of us while we were walking one day last week. And I mean, like you could just see her be like, "Oh my God, really?" Like she's like, and she was just so locked on, and I mean, she is just constantly surveilling her surroundings, to look for a target.
Well, Apollo, he's so funny because he runs to the door. Like we have a side door to the yard, and he runs to the door and he's looking at me like, "Let me out." And I'm like, "I'm not letting you guys out to go murder the bunny.
Yeah.
I'm not going to facilitate this." They're enjoying their day. And every now, after a while, I went to the window and sort of tapped on the window. And the bunny was like, "Yeah, whatever, lady." So I just finally went outside and was just like, "You need to move along. My dogs will want to murder you." And after a while, the bunny did move along, and then I let the dogs out probably like an hour later so they can go sniff everywhere that the bunny was
Oh
and
yeah.
then come back inside. But yeah, it's actually a nice little system. I figure it took about a month for me to adjust to four dogs and find a new routine because I have her sleeping in a kennel at night only because she's still a puppy and she still will entertain herself. And I don't want her waking up in the middle of the night and deciding, well, no one else is awake, so I'm just going to go ahead and chew on something. But she sleeps through the night with no problems. She's doing a really good job of going to the door when she has to go potty. And she loves her food. She is very excited at mealtime. So she's doing really good. She weighs 30 pounds now.
Aw.
Yeah, we went to the vet for the first time last week. And so she weighs I think it was 29.6 pounds.
How big will she get?
They estimate about 50. Her mom is 50 pounds.
Oh, okay.
So they estimate that. And yeah, I think we did talk about her breed mix, that she's more than 50% Staffordshire Terrier and American Pit Bull Terrier, even though she does not look like either.
So
And there is no like wire-haired anything in her DNA.
I know
So,
there's nothing like those wired hair pit bull.
I mean, she's the type of dog where that's the reason why people don't believe in DNA. People be
Right.
like, obvious, clearly that's wrong. But they don't the rescue, when they DNA the puppies, they don't DNA every one of the puppies. They did the mom, they did her because she looked so different than all the other puppies. And then they did another puppy. So they did 3. And hers was, then they were just, yeah,
Did all
absolutely.
of them come back similarly?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Remember that movie Twins from the
Yeah.
80s?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if she's the Arnold Schwarzenegger or the Danny DeVito.
I mean, and it's funny because she looks like her mom. Her mom is the same way, but is gray and white instead of tan and white. And her mom's in Tacoma. So and for people who don't really understand what that means, Tacoma is about a good 2 hours from me on a good day. On a normal day, it's probably about 3 hours. So, yeah, it's a trek. So, I've spoken to the man who adopted her mom, and we were thinking about, trying to figure out a way to, like, drive and do a meetup. But I also learned that she gets car sick, so we're practicing being in the car for short distances, and so I'm gonna start taking her to Skookum Sundays to get her used to being in the car. But yeah, she's a good girl. Oh, and she had her first air dried chicken foot yesterday.
Oh.
Yesterday was I needed them to settle down and I needed to work, and so I pulled out the real dog box and divvied out all the treats according to bite, style. And for her, I had one of those wolf. I can't remember what they're called, but they're the wolf things where you put a little ball that they lick in the middle, screw it tight. That thing is brilliant. I got it as part of my adoption gift. That thing is absolutely brilliant. I usually give it to her when I'm leaving the house because if I'm going to be gone for more than a couple of hours, then I put her in her kennel and I give her one of those, and she's perfectly fine. And she'll just walk around the house carrying it around. It's the cutest thing. But when everyone's getting their thing and I'm like, "Here's your shoe," and I thought she'd be so excited about it. She was, like, not interested. She was just going around and looking at what everyone else had and coming back and looking at me, and so I was just like, "Okay." So I gave her a chicken foot. She took off, and then eventually she came back, and I didn't think she finished it. I thought it would be sitting someplace, and I was gonna go find it. Nope, she ate it, so she had 2 of them yesterday. So, yeah, so that was exciting, but that's about it.
How did she do at the vet?
She did fine. She did. She just laid on the floor next to me. I think there was one thing she didn't like, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, we had to lay her on her side. And so she was a little freaked out about that. But, I was just there holding her head. And so she settled down. But otherwise, in fact, I was supposed to send some vet records to the vet last week completely. I keep forgetting. And so I need to just drop them off this week. But yeah, otherwise she's doing all of the dogs are doing really well. I'm very, very, very lucky. How's Nino doing?
Nina's good. He had a stomach flare recently, but it was just for like an evening,
Mhm.
and he's been okay again. And I'm just so proud of my grumpy old man, and he's getting around so well, and he doesn't love living with Nessie, but they're in a groove, and I'm grateful for that. Nino just likes knowing what to do and what to expect,
Yeah.
and he will also keep you on schedule.
Yes.
He will tell you when it is supposed to be dinner time or when he's supposed to be going outside right now.
Yeah, I think that's how Zoe is. Zoe, she doesn't mind the puppy. She's just pretty chilled. She doesn't mind any of the dogs. She's just very she's Zoe. She's my dog. And so she does things with me. And so she and I go for walks and she and I walk around and things. And so when we're outside, she's hanging out with me. Sometimes she'll play a little bit with the other dogs, but mostly she'd prefer to just walk around. So I love watching her because she'll go exploring and the puppy will follow her around, and so they'll go exploring together. Mostly the puppy is plays with Bella, but hangs out with Apollo. And it's funny because Apollo, for a while, he was acting like he didn't really like the puppy, and then one day I saw him laying in the yard, and the puppy is when she was a little bit smaller, was laying within, like, against his chest within his front paws.
Oh my
And
god.
he was just laying there, just like, this is happening. And I was just like, oh, you little liar. You do like her. And so, and he plays with her and stuff. And so it's just at, we have a really good system, but now I'm going to bed earlier and getting up earlier, which was, not expected. We go to bed at 9 and I get up at, yeah, I get up. I mean, sleeping late is at 7, but I get up between 6:30 and 7:30 and get everyone associated. And so I had to shift everyone's meal times and all of that. So that took some time. Yeah, but otherwise everything's good to go.
Yeah. Well, Nessie, thank goodness her yeastiness has calmed down some, and we were able to get some eardrops in her for a few days, and that helped calm her ear down. And switching over to an all fish diet for the last several weeks really seems to have helped. Also, of course, we're doing some other anti-yeast
Yeah.
things too, so it's probably more of a cumulative effect, but
Right.
it seemed pretty much like within a couple days of switching the diet, because I was like, what's a cooling diet? Okay, can't afford rabbit, let's do fish.
Yeah. Rabbit is
And
insane.
yeah,
I
so
mean,
but
because
the kid that seems to have helped.
I mean, I don't know if they're on the East Coast, but there's a brand, Wild Coast Raw, that's out of Olympia, Washington, and they have a rabbit pork recipe that I really like, and everything comes from farms. So, I know rabbit is cooling. Pork, I don't know. Some people call it cooling, some people call it neutral.
Yeah, I was looking at it as a neutral, and I think that's what we had been giving her when things started getting bad, when she
Mhm.
started flaring up, was the pork. So,
Yeah.
switching over to the fish seems to, like I said, but on top of other things that we're doing also seems to have helped calm things down. So,
Yeah, the pork, that actually a friend of mine had a similar experience with the, pork rabbit recipe, and we were so baffled because rabbit is cooling, but we figured it was the addition of the pork that her dog, who had never had any type of thing, started getting hot spots and all kinds of stuff, and when she took them off of the recipe, everything went back to normal.
oh, these dogs.
I know. I'm so grateful because right now, knock on wood, everything is nice and easy. And Buffy hasn't turned up with any type of weird, allergies or anything. She's doing perfectly fine. You remember that brand that we saw at Super Zoo with the yeah. So I had some of their food in my freezer that I got from a friend. And so I thawed that out. And so that's what she's eating this week. Because I didn't want to throw it away, and I didn't want to. I mean, I could have given it away, but it's there's such small bags that you basically can, one bag will be probably 2 days worth of food, maybe two and a half, and so I figured it would be perfect for her, and so and she's doing good on it. She's doing really good on it. So, oh, and I got some of the Vital Defense from Adored Beast Apothecary.
Oh, okay.
And I'm giving that to the dogs. I'm giving that to Zoe and
Zoe.
Apollo, since they're Apollo's still an adult, but Zoe's my old girl. And I found, to go easy, because it is a gut punch.
Mhm.
So it does create loose stool if used, well, with my dogs at least. If I go with the recommended dosage right away. So I'm going very slowly. I'm looking up the ingredients: phytoplankton, chaga mushrooms, spirulina, and that's what surprised me because I couldn't think of what one of those would have caused loose stool, but it did. So it's pretty rich for my dogs. But a little goes a long way. I'm hoping. But
Yeah, I'll be excited to hear what you think.
I know. Hope so. Maybe Zoe will live till 20 now. It's like wishful thinking, but you never know. I'm always looking for like the magic key. But you sent me an article and I saw that post that Rodney did about Librela.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is that I know a dog that was on Librela. And I wonder if that's something that she experienced, is just like
It seems
Just
like their dog either does really well or
mhm.
really not well, and
That's
it's a
what's so
gamble.
crazy. Yeah, that's what's so crazy is, like, I wish we could figure out what the the key is, because it's just like, if your dog's uncomfortable and in pain and you wanna support your dog and help your dog, and your veterinarian is telling you about this great new drug, but you don't know if your dog is going to be fine or, do really well, or if your dog's gonna be one of the ones where, you just basically, fast forwarded the degenerative of the joints or degeneration of the joints it's just kinda scary.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and it's like one of those where I'm always curious about, when they're putting these drugs into place, like, do they have to is it because it's for dogs, they don't have to put as much thought or time into it? Or did they see these things, but it just wasn't that big of a deal, so they considered it rare?
My cynical brain thinks that statistics can be massaged
Mhm,
and adverse events can be counted out for other reasons to show better statistics. I remember having a statistics teacher in college be like, you can get numbers to show anything you want them to if you know what you're doing,
mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
And that was actually one of the things that got me interested in learning more about statistics, despite some of my other sketchy math issues.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's just it's so sad because it's like I mean, people are doing the best that they can, and not everyone has access to information. Not everyone is following Rodney Habib or, anyone else who's reporting on these things. And if they are, they're probably seeing this stuff as skeptical, if I said that word right. Because you wonder it's funny because every now and then I'll have someone leave a comment because they assume that I'm fear mongering and that, I'm telling people these things because I'm getting paid by someone else. And it's like, no, no, no. This is just what I believe. And this is based on what I've learned. I mean, recently, Rodney posted something. What was it like? What did you give up when you realized it was toxic? And I had a list of things in my comment, and one of them was Fresh Pet, the dog food. And several people were like, "Why did you include Fresh Pet?" And my thing was that, for several reasons. One, there was a period of time where people reporting they got their food and they opened it up and it was tons of mold inside of it. And to me, that's a problem. I mean, I'm sure it was fixed because they're still on the market. But, that was kind of a scary problem because my worry is not the mold that people saw, but the mold that people didn't see that their dog is eating. And what is that doing to their system if you're consuming this on a regular basis? And then there's they say they didn't use preservatives. But the food would, and this is back years ago when I was doing a review for them. They didn't use preservatives, yet their food could last up to 6 months in the fridge. And I'm like, well, if you're not using preservatives, how can your food last this long? And I could never get a straight answer. And it's interesting because for the past few weeks, I have been getting so many emails from somebody who represents Freshpet wanting to do a sponsored post. And I have said, no, thank you each time. And they keep hey, I just want to follow up. And it's just like, w I mean, I don't know if this is like an automated system where it just it doesn't check into. They just want you to sign up and we'll give you, you can have commissions. If anyone sells it, we'll give you a link. And it's like, no, I really don't like this food at all. And when I learned more about it, it was because it was something that I thought was so cool. And the only thing I didn't like about it was the way it looked. I don't like anything that looks like bologna. I have a problem with it. But I still thought that it was kinda cool, like, they had these cookies, like, for humans where you can go and get the cookie dough, and you just put it in the oven.
Sure.
They had the same thing, but for dogs. And so, I mean, they had a lot of really cool things, and so I thought Fresh Pet was so cool until I started looking into it, and then I was just like, "No, this isn't for me." And so I don't use it. But I was surprised at the number of people who follow Rodney who feed Fresh Pet. And, yeah, and I was just like, "Huh,
This is
that's"
my shocked face.
yes. I mean, it's not that Rodney and Karen talk about Fresh Pet or anything, but it was just I thought it was common knowledge that that is not
Yeah.
raw dog food, that it's a highly processed food.
It's like refrigerated kibble. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like it's not something but, there are people who've had it, but, I understand that sometimes people will see someone say, "Well, I don't like this food," and they wonder, "What is your motivation behind saying that?" And I think that's why I've just never gotten into the, offering consultations and doing all of that because I think when you make money, any type of money, and it doesn't even matter if the reason why you're making money is to cover overhead. When you make money, it opens a door for people to say, "I don't believe you because you're being paid to blah, 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 blah." I mean, I see that feedback for Karen and Rodney, for Dr. Judy Morgan, even for had someone say that to me about Dr. Lori Kosher, like, "Oh, well, she charges." And I'm like, "Well, what was it?" I forgot what they said to me. They said they reached out to her for help, but all she cared about was making money. And I was just like, is it all she cares about? Or did you reach out to a professional licensed veterinarian for a consultation? And she was going to charge you a consultation fee
Because
because
that's
that's
what
her
veterinarians
business.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, and she has bills to pay too. And she was just sort of like, "Well, it was the second one. Yeah, I guess I should think." And I was like, it's like I was like, I understand because
And
I
they have
remember.
to be very careful about
Yeah,
advice, and they
yeah,
are subject to various state laws and regulations about what they can and can't say and what your relationship with them is.
yeah. I mean, well, because there's rules, and I know it's not nationwide, but I know state by state.
It
If a
varies.
veterinarian hasn't laid hands on a pet, they can't treat the pet. So they have to basically work with your
Right,
veterinarian
right.
for these things. And I mean, there's all kinds of things. And this is her livelihood. I mean, she spent, you know, I think Dr. Lori Kosher has probably 25 to 30 years of experience
Oh, I'm
in
sure, yeah.
holistic veterinarian medicine. That is worth something.
Yeah. I
If
mean,
you
any licensed professional occupation, like with lawyers, like, my boss can't give somebody legal advice about something in California. He's not a lawyer barred in California, like,
yeah,
and, dentists, I mean, any kind of professional, licensure type of occupation, you should expect that, I would.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can understand it's like maybe the amount is too high. I remember years ago, I did a consultation with Dr. Kathy Alanovi, and it was $199. And I was just like, wow, that's a lot of money. What do I get for that? And what I got was one consultation where we talked on the phone. I mean, it was basically the main consultation where we talked on the phone for like 30, 45 minutes. And we went over everything and it was basically when I was learning how to feed raw. But then I had 30 days of questions. Like any questions I had, we can get back on the phone to go over anything. And so and it was basically getting me because I was transitioning from commercial raw to homemade. And so going through things like, everyone has diarrhea right now, or and so it actually, I mean, and of course, this was over 10 years ago. So $199 to help me transition to raw, answer all my questions, and getting the information directly from a veterinarian who has not only experience with holistic, but also the nutrition side as well. That was a steal.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it would be today, but it was a steal back then. And it was definitely worth it. And what's funny is that I didn't use it to as much as I could. I mean, she really squared me away with the first call, and I got everything really done, and so it was pretty good. Ah, there she is. Hello. Hello. Yay. The dogs have joined me. And no, no, leave that alone. And so that is basically my life is telling her no. but at least she listens. She's really good. She's the smartest little puppy, and she's really listens so well. And she hasn't damaged too many things. I don't know if I told you the list. Remote control. I think she destroyed one pair of shoes. Well, actually, not a pair, just one of the shoes, but they were old, so I didn't care too much. A slipper. She did do some damage to one of my favorite pairs of walking shoes, but they can still be walked in, so that's not that big of a deal. But she's a pretty good girl.
That's one of the things I do appreciate about Nessie for all her intensity. She's a really good sleeper. Once she goes to sleep at night, like she doesn't budge, she doesn't get into anything. And I don't think she's really chewed anything up. Occasionally she'll pick things up that are Tim's and move them into another room, but she doesn't seem to chew them. She just kind of, how does this feel in my mouth? I'm gonna put it over here. Tim calls it redecorating. She just redecorate. But she's been such a good girl in that way.
Yeah. I'm just looking forward to this part going away, because I can't remember when Bella stopped chewing on everything. What's crazy is that she and Bella have so much in common, it's not even funny.
Aw.
And I say that it's because they're both Save-A-Mutt dogs. They came from the same rescue. But they have so many things in common, it's hilarious. But there are times where Buffy's not afraid of anything. And so I have to manage her energy. And I understand, like when they're going outside. Bella has decided a few weeks ago something in the garage scares her. And so when she goes out in the garage, she wants to skitter through the garage, out the doggy door, and out to the yard. But Buffy will hide, and she will be ready to pounce on her as she's coming through the garage. And Bella doesn't like that. So I have to get Buffy to no. I tell her, no, go outside. And she looks at me like, no. And she listens, and then she'll go outside. But she just waits outside for her. But then Bella goes bursting through the doggy door. And so Buffy has learned not to wait right outside the doggy door, because Bella will roll her over. And then they're fine. They'll go outside and they run around and play. They do better when I'm out there with them. I don't understand why I have to be there.
They
Because
miss having us there.
I mean, it's just like, but I just go, I think I bought lottery tickets last week because a bird pooped on me because I was sitting underneath it, and I was just sort of I was annoyed. And I was like, gosh darn it. And then I went and took off my shirt and washed my hands and anything else that I thought it might have got on. It was just a little bit. And then went to the store and bought some lottery tickets. So I figured, hey, if they say it's lucky,
That's what
but
they
maybe
say.
that's just the first person that had bird poop on them made that up so people would shut up and stop making fun of them, because I didn't win the lottery, by the way. But it would have been nice. So big discussion on the internet about synthetics, and the fact that we shouldn't be using or giving our
Should
dogs
we?
things that have synthetic nutrients in them. And it's funny because I have two emotions about this, or two feelings about this. On one side, I agree, but on the other side, I disagree. And the reason why is sort of like, what are the synthetics that we're talking about? And the first thing that came to mind, for me at least, were the flavorings they put in things. So I've seen a lot of CBD oils that have peanut butter flavoring or bacon flavoring, or chicken flavoring. And it's just sort of like, why?
What is that? Yeah. And what
Yeah,
is it?
and exactly, and what is it? And, and it's funny because I've even tried to speak to people about it to find out, well, what is it exactly? And the answer I get is so unsatisfactory, and I think it's because they don't really know. So a lot of them will tell me, oh, well, it's an essential oil, like with the peanut butter, it's an essential oil. And it's like, oh, I didn't realize that there was peanut butter essential oil. But still, what is it? Because essential oils are usually from plant-based things. And even though, yeah, peanuts are plants, but
Technically, yeah,
it's
corn, but
it's I it's not something that, I don't have a kale essential oil or broccoli essential oil. So it's just sort of like, so what exactly is it and where did it come from? And I tried to dive deeply into one particular brand, asking them for their certificate of analysis, which was very, very, very minimal. And I finally just felt like a bully for asking all the questions and just gave up and just didn't use their product. But so that's where I'm a little like, I don't really feel comfortable with these additives and things where I don't know what it is. I don't know where it came from. I don't know there's really no real purpose for it, except for probably to make us as humans feel good. Sort of like, when they add colors to dog food or dog treats to make us feel like, oh, this is red. It must be tomato, where it's just sort of like, no, it's just red dye. But on the flip side, using synthetic nutrients to balance a diet rather than taking the time to to find the whole foods that are needed to make it work. And um, was it Emma? Oh, I can't remember her name. I know it was Emma, but I can't remember her last name. So I'm going to look it up. But she posted something this morning that I thought was really interesting about about plant-based nutri- plant-based pet food and how they will use a ton of synthetic nutrients to balance out their formulas because it's so hard to do it when you're just using plants. Because she said she's like not a fan of plant-based foods, but she understands why, like for dogs that have severe protein sensitivities, why they would go and use a plant-based food. And I've heard of people like putting their dogs on kind of the plant-based diet temporarily while they figure out. And I think I've also seen this with people who aren't going to do any fresh food. They're just basically going to stick with kibble. And so they're going to try to figure out what their dog is allergic to. But she said, this is why she says, so why am I frustrated? And this is about plant-based or vegan-based pet food. She says, because many of these products are built on synthetic vitamin packs, ultra-processed fillers, and greenwash messaging.
It's true
And she's
for
like,
humans too. Human
mhm.
vegans too.
And she says that I've proven you can formulate vegan diets using whole foods, but it takes nutritional depth, not shortcuts. And that's basically what she's saying is that, when people are leaning heavily on, so Emma Rutherford, I was thinking Emma Thompson, the actress, but Emma Rutherford, and she formulates not for people, but for brands. And she's out of the UK. And she was just basically saying that, it's kind of a lazy way to make pet food. And it probably is a cheaper way as well, because I mean, whole foods are expensive. And just using the animal diet formulator, and it's really easy to have things off and then plug the holes with a synthetic. It takes a lot more time to balance out all the different nutrients because it's not a matter of, okay, well, I'm low in zinc. Google foods high in zinc, plug that food in, and you're good. No, it's going to throw off other things. And so you're constantly just trying to figure out the highs and lows of everything without making a recipe that has 27 ingredients and a dozen eggs, and it's not easy. And I wouldn't say that it's hard. It's time consuming. It's not one of those things where, because I had someone ask me a question, which I still need to answer. If they could just, like, if they're feeding raw, like an 80-10-10 diet, can they just add green tripe and a multivitamin and that's balance? And it's just like, no, it's not. But 10, 12 years ago, I would have probably said, yeah, that sounds great.
The way that I guess I have felt about it is I believe that whole food nutrition is superior. And I think it was Amy Renz who we spoke to who broke this down in a really good way for us. But I would rather somebody feed a raw food brand that uses synthetics than feed kibble.
Hmm.
And if that's what works for their budget, more power to you. And throw some maybe, an extra egg or something in the bowl or, something like that. But if you can afford to do the foods that are the brands, or create your own diet that is whole food based. I think that is like the best of the best. So I guess that's how I just try to rationalize it. And honestly, Nino is on a gently cooked food that uses synthetics, and for whatever reason, he does really well on it.
Yeah.
And we have been through so much drama with his stomach over the last 2 years that it's like, I don't wanna rock the boat right now.
Right. And I think that my worry is scaring people away from feeding fresh food or feeding certain brands or trying to make it themselves because of the synthetic argument. Like, I think it's still something that should be discussed, but I don't think it's something that should be demonized. I think instead people should be taught, well, what are some brands? Like if I'm going to like plug a nutritional gap with a synthetic, what are good brands that I should be looking at that I know that I can trust that they have a quality product versus just grabbing whatever is off the market. And also educating people, because again, people think that, oh, I can just do a multivitamin. There are good brands that offer a vitamin supplement, but I don't understand why I would need that unless a veterinarian told me specifically to do it. And even then, I would question why. Because I've had veterinarians say, well, at least add a multivitamin. It's like, why? What am I covering? Because if it's a fat soluble vitamin and I'm adding more soluble nutrients to a diet that doesn't need it, then I'm risking creating toxic level of vitamins. And maybe I'm overthinking it, but it's one of those that I think that it's not enough to warn people about synthetics. I think now we need to start teaching people about how to look for them, how to identify them, what is okay, what is not okay, maybe explore different brands without making them feel too bad. But, because I know Dr. Harvey's, I use Paradigm. I mainly use Raw Vibrance, which doesn't have synthetics, but I've also used Paradigm, which does. But I very much trust Dr. Harvey's and their product line. So it's not something that I'm terribly concerned about.
And like I said, you don't
But
want people to start spiraling and be like,
mhm,
"Oh my
yeah,
god." We're all doing the best that we can, and if you have the resources of both money and time to research all of these things and only do the super gold plus standard, I think that's amazing. But not everybody's in that boat all the time, and the world feels insane right now. And, like, whatever, you can do that's the best for your dog is what I support. I think it's good to know that, there is kind of like a gold standard, and then there's like other ones that are the best you can do. And you know what? If
yeah,
your dog starts having a health issue, maybe that's when take time to re-examine. Well, okay, what is in their diet? Can I shift things around and try different products, try a better quality product, try a different brand and see how if this is but if your dog is doing really well with what you're doing, then, do what works best for your lifestyle and your resources and your bandwidth at that moment.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I think ultimately it's just a matter of do the best that you can while keeping open to new information and
Yeah.
being ready to adapt and adjust because we already have to do that. I do it with when you go from puppy to adolescence to adult to senior, there's adjustment periods
Yeah.
with their diet through that period. And then if your dog comes up with some type of health issue or allergy or something, there's an adjustment period. I mean, I did it with when you're adding a new supplement to the diet and seeing how your dogs respond to it. And I think that that's what you said as far as not spiraling. I think that's where I always worry is like when there is a hot topic, you go to the comments and people are like, oh, well, what am I supposed to do? And I
Yeah.
don't know and it's just like, I remember feeling that way. I mean, so I won't shame anyone for having that emotion. I remember being so overwhelmed, but after all these years of doing this, it's fine.
Or when you're like, "I wanna do better, but, like, I have to keep a roof over my head
Yes.
and, get to work every day," and, it's like
Yeah.
We have to make those calls sometimes, and and that's why I'm a big fan of like rotating different things, and rotating different products, different brands, different types of things. Do something for a little while, see how it does, get something on sale and try,
Yeah,
like I think that that's a good approach, uh, you know, so that you're not getting like overly reliant on something that's like maybe not the highest quality. Maybe you can mix in some other things that are higher quality.
it's true. And not everyone has access to the same things. That's one thing that I always try to, when I create content, is make a point of saying, I am in a really prime location where I have a really great raw food co-op. I have really great resources as far as local farms and homesteaders. I have access to a lot of variety. And I've been doing this for so long that I know where to get the best deals, what to get, what not to get. There's a lot of stuff that I don't spend money on because either I can make it myself, like, for instance, with dog treats, I very rarely go out and buy dog treats anymore other than Real Dog Box because I can source the things that I need. I have the equipment, I can just make my own dog treats. And this is not something that everyone can do. I mean, I'm going to do a bone broth, a marathon again. If I lived in an apartment, yeah, bone broth doesn't smell great when it's cooking. I mean, it doesn't bother me, but it bugs the hell out of Johan. He can't stand the smell of bone broth, so that's why I cook it outside. But even when I let it cool and bring it inside and transfer it to jars and stuff, he's just like, "Ugh, I can't stand the way that smells." Um, and same thing like with green tripe. Green tripe does not bother me at all. But other people, they're just like, "Oh, I can't feed that to my dogs." And so not everyone has access to the same thing. So although it sounds easy to say things like, oh, just feed variety or just do this or just do that, for some people, that is not an easy task. And so sometimes using products that do contain synthetics, especially if it's something that your dog is going to eat and your dog is thriving off of it, is can't, I'm not going to crap all over that.
I know sometimes it just feels like the world is on fire and we're like nitpicking
Yeah. You know,
some
I think
brands
I'm seeing that
ingredient list
everywhere.
or something, and I don't know, maybe some people need that kind of distraction.
Well, and I think I feel in some ways some people have a vested interest, like maybe they have a brand, they work for a company, they own a company, so they're basically kind of trying to speak from the perspective of, I own a raw food company and this is what we do and this is why we do it. And it's not that deep and it's not bad. So I understand that. I think for a lot of other people, one thing that I feel like I'm starting to see is fatigue. Like people are kind of getting fed up with the making everything so complicated. And I mean, because
I am
I
the poster child for fatigue right now.
I am. I so am. I was like, and I posted this on Facebook. I was at the bank yesterday. I always just drop off our mortgage payment at the bank. I don't have it. I don't like things to automatically come out of my account. I mean, there are some things, but I just don't. Yeah. When it comes to that large of amount, here's the money. I just like to deliver it to the bank. And it's just a weird thing with me. It's the way I've always been with my mortgage payments. And I'm standing there, and the person in front of me is just chit chatting with the teller. And I'm not annoyed or anything because it's not like I had some place to be. And if I did, I would have just left and come back at another time. It's not that big of a deal. I was the next person in line. Um, but I was thinking about the number of people that would be annoyed. And so people came in after me and they were not as patient as I was. And so I thought it was kind of funny just how we, like the fact that someone just chit-chatting with, someone like being nice and they're having this great interaction, that is so aggravating.
Well, it's funny. I went to the Hallmark store today to get anniversary cards, and there was like pretty much nobody else in there. There was one other woman in there, but of course, she was coming up to the lane, the checkout at the same time I was, and she has way more stuff than I do. And I'm like, okay. And, again, not in any huge hurry, don't have anywhere to be. But the next thing you know, it turns out that like she used to work for a Hallmark store. Well, she was actually a teacher for 30 years and then she retired and then she was bored. So then she decided to work for the Hallmark store. And then I'm just like, why do I know this whole lady's life story right now? And it was just like a very funny thing because I'm such a like, here, what's the title? Here you go.
Exactly. Because I'm just standing there like, I'm going to go up to this teller after this woman and I'm just going to be silent. She knows me because she sees me every month. She's like, you're making a payment. And I just said, yes. And I hand it to her. And then she does it. And she's like, okay, approve it. And you're confirm it. And I hit a button. And then she's like, do you want the staple? And I'll go, yes, thank you. And she's like, okay, have a good day. And I'm like, you too. And I leave. That's the extent of it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a lot. But I just felt so antisocial just standing there, just like after this woman ahead of me is just like so friendly. I mean, and there are other places I go where I actually do know people. And so I'll stop and talk. Like at Costco, I have a couple friends who work at Costco. So we'll stop and chit chat. But that's the other thing is Costco. What day did I go to Costco? I went to Costco in Oh, I don't know I know what was going on. I found out as I was leaving, but I went to Costco. I got a really good parking space. And it wasn't like the only one. It seemed like it was like, okay, there's people here, but it didn't seem too crowded. But when I went inside, it was like, where did all these people come from? Like, did they carpool here? I mean, this is insane. And so I'm walking around and trying to get my stuff and go to the register, and I'm stopping because people are stopping to get the samples. And no one can ever just move their cart to the side and then go get a sample. They just stop, abandon their cart, and then they go get the sample. And then they stand there talking to each other about, what their thoughts are on the sample or stuff. And I'm just standing there waiting, like, can I go around? And because there's people coming from the other direction. And I'm just like, and it happened again and again and again. And I was cracking up because I always think about if Costco were like traffic on the road, if I were like driving down the road and I saw someone selling ice cream, so I just stopped my car, didn't pull over, just stopped my car, got out and left my car running, got out and went and got some ice cream, then talked about how good the ice cream was, and then went and got back into my car. I mean, it's just like, it's insane. But I found out it was so bad because they closed down the little restaurant deli little area. So I feel like everyone was filling up on, I don't know. That was just my excuse. But it's just one of those where Johann, if he were there, he would have been just aggravated because he just has no patience for that. Whereas I just think it's hilarious that people do this, that they, like I even had someone stop in front of me eating something. They looked at me and said, "Oh, we're sorry," but didn't move, just kept eating. And it's just like, what is happening?
I just feel like Tim's head would be exploding.
I know. It's like, why is this happening? Why are you still in front of me?
He has like very strict guidelines about like grocery store behavior
Like grocery store
that
etiquette.
no one else knows. Yeah. And our grocery store recently, you have to bring all your own bags or else they charge you for paper bags.
Mhm.
And also, they don't really bag your groceries anymore. But like they will if you don't, but they really want to encourage you to do it. And so back in the day, when you just had nice normal plastic bags that you used for everything, uh, they would just scan it, put it in the bag, scan it, put it in the bag is in the cart. Well, now it like creates utter chaos if
Yeah.
the person isn't bagging their own groceries because the checkout person will just like throw all the stuff like behind them on that checkout area, like that bagging area. But then it'll get full. And then
Mhm.
it'll be like, oh, wait, I have to like, okay, you're not doing anything. Okay. So anyway, we had a lady in front of us who got over $500 worth of groceries and she didn't lift a finger to bag. And we had like this very young checkout kid, it looks like he's like 17 years old. And he was very like, I don't know. Okay, I got to stop and do this. And then, but there's more to do. It was utter chaos. And I literally thought Tim was like just going to like explode in the checkout line because he has like a system and he gets in there and he's bang, 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 zip, 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 like, and he's very precise with it. It's a military operation when he's bagging and he has a system for how he puts things on the conveyor belt and he has a system for the bag. I mean, and he gets very upset when other people aren't like this.
I just love it. Oh, yeah.
This is also why I can't go to the grocery store by myself anymore. Like, he has to go with me unless I'm just getting, like, one thing, because it's like, I ain't doing all that, but I also don't wanna be the person that's just standing there not doing all that. So, yeah, if it's not just, like, one thing that I'm getting, like, he's gotta go, like
We don't have well, we have the paper bags, but they will still bag our stuff, which I very much appreciate, except for if you go through the self-checkout. What I really like with a self-checkout is, like, another thing, Costco. Um, I will ask them to scan stuff because I'm just like, I just don't wanna take it out. "Can you guys just scan it?" And they are so nice because 'cause they're like, "That's fine." And they've gotten used to me because 'cause they'll see me, there's a couple people there that are like, "Do you want me to" and I was like, "Yes, will you just scan? I don't wanna do this anymore, I'm tired." And I didn't wanna go through a regular thing because the lines are so long, but the self-checkout is so quick and easy. Anyway, yeah, yeah. I like going to the grocery store. I never get what I need. I went just a few days ago and I forgot 3 things, but no, it's just down the road. I'll go again. Mm. But any cool TV shows?
Ooh, what have I been watching? North of North on Netflix.
Is that the with the guy that showed up and he has a grown daughter?
Yes.
Yes, I've been watching that too.
It's very cute. It's, I don't know. I like it. It's just been a cute nighttime show.
Yep.
What else have I watched? Oh, we're in season 2 of White Lotus,
Yeah, okay.
Tim and I. So we're in Italy,
Oh, yeah.
and, we finished Righteous Gemstones, which, like, I can't believe it's over. Um, yeah, I think those are all of our good I feel like I watched something else too. Oh, did we talk about Residence? The
No.
Residence? That's the one that takes place at the
Oh,
White House?
yes, I've seen the thing on Netflix, and I've been looking at it and wondering if I wanna get into it. Okay, so have you started it?
Yes, I watched that. I went through the whole
Okay.
season. So that's good. That's worth watching.
Okay. Okay, cool,
And,
cool.
I thought it was really well done, and I loved the main woman, like, she was just so entertaining, and you'll learn about a lot about birds.
Okay. Speaking of birds, crows are at my house.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, and we don't see crows here. I mean, there are crows here in the Pacific Northwest, but not at our house. We usually have robins. We have some doves. We have a couple other birds, but mostly it's robins, blue jays, I was gonna say woody woodpeckers.
Yeah, we get woodpeckers.
But, not really crows, but this morning I was looking outside and there were tons of them, and I bet the robins are furious because this is their domain, so I'm curious to know how that's gonna work out. It's like, or maybe I'll have, like, a murder of crows, and
Yeah.
I'll be their leader, and I'll get them to yeah. But, yeah.
We get a lot of grackles. They look, like, kinda shimmery, and then we get sparrows that are huge jerks to each other and, like, will literally start, like, killing each other, and so it's not uncommon for us to find a mortally wounded sparrow in the yard. Gray catbirds, I think they're called. They're Tim's favorite. I often have to hear him wax on about the song of the gray catbird. Uh,
We have this one bird that's black and it has a red dot on it. and it has a really
Oh,
cool.
we get red-winged blackbirds. They have the red stripe like on their wings.
Yeah, I found a app where you can do bird calls.
Yes, yes.
And so last year I was doing that and they would respond back. And Johan's like, oh my God, I can't believe that's really working. I'm like, I
Oh, he has the one that's kind of like Shazam for birds.
know.
That's how we learned about the gray catbird being his favorite.
Oh, that's a good idea. So yeah, and because we're doing this upgrade for our house and we're basically going through and getting rid of a ton of stuff. So we took 2 fake trees that we had and put them out on the porch because it's like, we need to take these to the dump. We're not keeping them. But we didn't take them to the dump fast enough because a bird made a very elaborate nest in there.
In a fake tree?
In the fake tree on our
Oh,
porch.
wow.
And so it's like, so we're like waiting for it, I think that its birds have hatched, but the bird is still hanging out there. So we're just sort of like waiting for the bird to abandon their home so we can take them to the dump. But so far they have not. So
I love springtime. For the most part, we've had some pretty good weather. It's raining here today, but it's just been a lovely spring.
It's supposed to be raining this week. And I did marathon mowing this weekend so that I didn't end up with, I feel like, 2 feet high grass, but it actually hasn't been raining that much. I mean, it's been raining, but not, how so when it says 60% chance of rain, and this is how I've been my entire life, I think of it as not that, there's more than 50% chance. There's a good chance there's going to be rain outside. In my head, I think of it as, oh, there's going to be a lot of rain. Like 60% of the day is going to be raining, or I don't know. And it's not the way it is. That's not what it means. So it was supposed to be, I don't know if it's still that much, but it's still quite a bit of rain. The puppy's crying. But yeah, now today is 5% chance of rain.
Oh,
And that's not what tomorrow is 59. But it's supposed to be raining basically for the next week. But we're not getting it. It's not out there. So I've been getting the dogs outside. And in fact, that's what I'm going to do after we finish, get the dogs outside so they can run around a little bit and then finish my day, I guess.
Yeah, some years it feels like we go right from like winter to summer, but we've had a very nice spring this year. I can't complain.
It has been. It's been really nice.
I hope it's nice where everybody is.
Exactly.
Thanks, guys.
Talk to you later.